In 2019, 25-year-old billionaire heir Verena Balsan took the stage at a digital marketing convention. When questioned about her family company's use of forced labor during World War II, she brushed it off. She claimed the laborers were paid exactly the same as German workers, and that the company treated them well. The public backlash was immediate, largely because the historical record was entirely clear. From 1940 until the end of the war, the Balsan Company utilized hundreds of SS-provided forced laborers, bringing them in from an occupied factory in Kiev to work in Hanover. The Balsan family is a single data point in a much broader economic reality. Germany is the economic powerhouse of the European Union, and its strength relies heavily on the Mittelstand, a network of incredibly powerful, specialized megacorporations that are largely or fully controlled by multi-generational families. These families sit at the top of global financial leaderboards today. But examining how they acquired their initial capital forces a difficult question. We have to look at whether their modern corporate foundations and philanthropy are genuine attempts to atone for empires built on blood, or simply highly calculated strategies to protect their wealth. In 1931, Adolf Hitler met with Germany's wealthiest industrialists inside Berlin's Hotel Kaiserhof. The first man he spoke with was August von Fink Sr. Fink was a man who believed Hitler was sent by God, and he proved that belief by promising 5 million Reichsmarks to arm the SA, the Nazi Party's paramilitary wing. For his financial loyalty, Fink was rewarded with the political cover to launch a brutal Aryanization campaign. He aggressively targeted his Jewish competitors, seizing prominent private institutions like the J. Dreyfus Bank and absorbing them directly into his own financial empire. When the war ended, Fink largely escaped the justice system. He avoided a significant financial penalty to a general restitution fund by successfully appealing the fine, claiming he had a bad knee from an injury sustained during World War I. His wealth passed down to his eldest son, August von Fink Jr. The son inherited billions but operated entirely in the shadows, eventually moving to Switzerland to evade taxes while managing his massive real estate and investment portfolio. August Jr. used that inherited fortune to secretly fund extreme right-wing media. His asset manager coordinated the launch of an anti-refugee newspaper, actively funneling dark money into platforms openly supportive of the AfD, a party classified as right-wing extremist by the German Institute for Human Rights. The von Fink dynasty operates on absolute denial. They offer no public apologies for their Nazi-era actions. Instead, they use the capital generated from those actions to quietly finance modern political movements that align perfectly with their historical extremism. Millions of people have a Dr. Oetker pizza or baking mix in their kitchen. The man responsible for scaling that empire into a multi-billion-euro multinational was Rudolf August Oetker. He is celebrated as a pioneer of frozen foods. He was also a voluntary member of the Waffen-SS, who trained at the Dachau concentration camp. Following the war, Rudolf August completely bypassed a formal, independent denazification trial. He was exonerated by an internal subcommittee composed entirely of his own company's employees, allowing him to take the position of CEO with an unblemished public record. He kept quiet about his past until his death in 2007. When his 8 children inherited the company, making them all individual billionaires, the family fractured. They split into 2 ideologically opposed camps over whether or not they should actually investigate their father's Nazi ties. The older siblings commissioned historians and acknowledged the uncomfortable truth. The younger siblings rejected the findings. They refused to accept that their father was a committed Nazi and stubbornly chose to retain the name of the Rudolf August Foundation. You can see the result of this internal division on the company's English-language website today. The site praises Rudolf August's business acumen, his rebuilding efforts, and his diversification of the brand. It omits his voluntary service in the Waffen-SS entirely. This selective memory acts as a highly effective corporate shield. It allows the modern heirs to reap the billions generated by their patriarch's ruthless expansion, while isolating themselves from the moral rot of his actions. Gunther Quandt was a massive supplier for the Third Reich. He fueled the military with ammunition and batteries from his Akkumulatorenfabrik in Hanover, where by 1943, forced laborers made up half of his entire workforce. This chart visualizes the brutal human cost of Quandt's manufacturing. In collaboration with the SS, the company set up a sub-concentration camp directly on the factory complex. The company calculated that slaves would last, on average, 6 months, projecting a steady turnover rate of 80 people dying on the factory floor every single month. Allied tribunals never held Gunther accountable, and his son, Herbert Quandt, entirely escaped prosecution as well. Herbert retained his status as one of West Germany's wealthiest individuals, passing down a massive, untainted fortune to his children. His heirs, Suzanne Clotten and Stefan Quandt, hold near half ownership of BMW today. They maintained total silence about their family's reliance on slave labor until a damning television documentary in 2007 publicly exposed the history, finally forcing them to commission a formal historical review. Today, the family operates the Herbert Quandt Foundation to promote responsible leadership. When philanthropy is deployed only after public exposure and retains the name of an unprosecuted war criminal, it operates as a public relations firewall meant to protect a modern luxury brand from its own origins. In Germany, there is a formal cultural expectation known as Erinnerungskultur, a culture of remembrance. It is a strict national responsibility to actively study, accept, and learn from the horrific crimes of the Nazi regime to ensure they can never be repeated. Yet, the heirs to Germany's most powerful wartime industrialists use their extreme wealth to effectively opt out of that history. Through well-funded PR teams, dark money political contributions, and heavily sanitized corporate biographies, they curate a reality where their patriarchs were simply brilliant businessmen. When men who armed the SA and actively calculated the monthly death rates of concentration camp prisoners face zero consequences, a dangerous historical distortion occurs. They are immortalized as the celebrated architects of the modern European economy. Corporate philanthropy built on the exploitation of forced labor is a transaction. The ultimate product these dynasties are buying today is silence, ensuring their legacy is defined by the myth they pay to preserve rather than the truth they refuse to face.